Dear viewers, welcome to the weekly roundup. It's nice of you to be here and we got a juicy headline and plenty of games to cover. Thanks for joining, let's dive in. Starting with reveals and announcements. Path of Exile introduced a battle pass called Kirac's Vault Pass. It provides special skins and cosmetic effects for a bunch of unique items that are used in meta builds like the Headhunter, Paradoxica or Bottled Faith. It's purchasable for €26 in the Netherlands or $30 in the US, and you can unlock all of the 8 available rewards by completing the entire atlas, all 117 maps. People are up in arms about this thing. I think it's totally fine. I bought it. I feel GGG's looking for some new revenue streams, especially from their more loyal and returning players, people like me. People that have thousands of hours into the game, that have plenty of supporter packs, that have all stash tabs and a bunch of coins lying around as well. They need to incentivize us to spend some money on the game, to fund ongoing development, which is really the only reason they have made a pass like this. It is not because they are greedy, because the devs haven't given us any indication about that. Stash tab prices are fair for what you're getting and everything else is not cheap, but purely cosmetic and 100% optional, with supporter packs offering decent value for money. Just like this battle pass offers decent value, exactly for this demographic of players. The players that do tend to finish all maps and then plan and farm some more with meta builds, with headhunters, with those endgame items that cost a few X to over 100 exalts. And for those new players, this new battle pass is a super fun system with amazing looking NTX, which over time you will be using because these items will pretty much always be meta items. They have been meta items for years. This thing is literally there because of the reasons GGG says it is. Imagine that, a company telling the truth. Inconceivable to some people, but that shouldn't be the devs' problem here. Next to this, the pass doesn't only incentivize returning loyal players to spend a bit of money, it also incentivizes you to play the game more. I have 116 maps unlocked in SSF instead of 117. The one I don't have, I have to delve for. After purchasing this pass, I am now delving, looking for the boss that drops Doriani's Machinarium. Once I have that, I will unlock my final Headhunter skin for an item I know I will have as soon as I return to trade. And that is what this pass is really about. The haters couldn't be more wrong in this case. And more likely than not, you will see these same haters with the cool cosmetic effects. So if you enjoy the pass, buy it. If you don't buy it. That is all there is to it. There is no slippery slope, no failed marketing, no nothing. GGG has a clear target group for this thing, a group which they have probably identified doesn't spend much money anymore because they have no reason to spend money anymore, but they still play an awful lot. And this thing is supposed to change that in a very fair, good bang for your buck and valuable way that integrates well within the game and may even convince you to play the game a bit more or a bit differently. Striving for Light released a new trailer. This is a small indie team making an ARPG with some interesting features. The art design stands out and the idea of an infinite skill tree that is procedurally generated is cool as well. I've played this game for a bit and there is potential, but it's not there just yet, not even for early access. A trailer should help attract a bit of an audience, and this trailer looks professionally made while giving a good insight in how the game plays. More small indie studios should invest some time and money in this, I feel. Legends of Ellaria, a unique blend of sandbox action RPG and real-time strategy according to the devs, is getting mod support. That is always a good idea, mod support. However, in this case, the base game has quite a few issues. I played this around the release and this game didn't strike me as finished, with a bad UI, poor optimization and too many gameplay mechanics in one game. The devs definitely pulled off more than they could chew on this one. The game is mixed reviews on Steam, and with the number of issues I found in a relatively short session, I'm wondering if modding will be able to fix the core experience here. They're certainly up for a challenge. The Last Oricru released a demo. The Last Oricru is an action RPG with a strong emphasis on storytelling and player choices. The player awakens in a sci-fi medieval world on the brink of a war and starts influencing the destiny of the whole world. I've seen the trailer a while back for this, which looked pretty good, and if you want to check this out, go to Steam, download the demo, and you can play the first 2 levels for free. The game releases later this year. Proceeding with the Patch Plaza, bringing an overview of patch news. Cyberpunk 2077 released patch 1.5, which is pretty massive. Here are some of the highlights. You can now rent apartments in Night City, 4 of them. There is a new reason to do that in this patch because things you do in your apartment, like taking a shower, gives you a temporary buff. In front of your mirror, you can do limited character customization like your hair and makeup. That makes sense. The devs added new weapons and weapon mods. There are new poses in photo mode. AI has been improved both in combat and in the crowds. Driving has been improved once again. Maybe you don't need to download mods anymore to properly take your cars for a ride. The perks trees have been rebalanced and received new perks in some cases. The UI received an overhaul, meaning you can now filter out more UI components for that immersion. New secret quests got added. There are extended romancing options. Fixers have standing, which you need to increase gradually now, which means you're not bombarded with 36 quests and phone calls as soon as you enter a new area, but that you gradually, over time, unlock more quests. Seems like a great improvement. And those are just some of the highlights. It might be time to dive back in someday. This game is an absolute blast if you can run it, and it should be running fairly smooth with a bunch of quests to discover as well. Back to Path of Exile once more. They released patch 3.17.1, bringing the Battle Pass I mentioned, but there are other improvements as well. For example, to the Arch Nemesis panel, you can now select recipes and highlight the components, which is a great feature. Socketing a Voidstone in your atlas now causes maps dropped in areas to have a 25% chance to be 1 tier higher, with this chance increasing the more Voidstones you socket. 4 Voidstones gives you 100%, which is a huge buff to map sustain. The atlas passives now affect Shaper, Guardian and Val Temple maps. I wish they worked as well for Kirac's mission, which hopefully is added later, and of course some bug fixes. There is weekly Vampire Survivors news. I'm assuming by now you bought the game, right? €2.40, do it. There is more new content, namely 1 new weapon evolution, 2 new minor game mechanics and power-ups, and 3 new achievements to unlock regarding the content just mentioned. Up next in future patches is more quality of life, key rebinding, and most importantly, stage 3. That is going to be awesome, another entire stage to try and complete. Then, upcoming releases. There are not many games releasing next week that I'm interested in. There's Destiny 2, The Witch Queen, but that's about it. I've been getting a bunch of emails from indie devs, however, as well as some press releases, so let me just point out a few potentially interesting games instead of releases. In a week's time, the Steam Next Fest starts, February 21st, and a lot of games I am closely following will have a demo at that event. I'm thinking games like The Wandering Village, Batora Lost Haven, and plenty of others, but also lesser known titles such as The Unliving, a game I'm apparently following. You'll be able to discover a lot of cute indie games next week. I will try to cover more in next week's roundup, because then you can actually immediately install the demo if you like what you see. And time for some personal updates. What have I been up to? Well, still Path of Exile. It's most likely the best League I ever played. Sure, it has some issues, in particular blighted maps simply didn't work, which can be annoying, but I stand by my original opinion that, taking into account everything the devs delivered in 3 months' time, this is really as good as it gets. I am thoroughly enjoying my build. I have around 14.4 million Ignite DPS currently, and I've sort of reached the ceiling. I found a Squire shield, which is extremely rare. It's worth like 100 exalts, but I'm so self-found it's kind of pointless. But I might take that for a spin in a second build, not entirely sure. I am playing solo self-found after all. I'm hunting achievements currently, and I'm making some content about Path of Exile now too. A bunch of beginner guides and just general information. The videos are doing okay-ish, not too well, but I'm just going to make a few more and see if the interest grows. I really enjoy playing the game and making the PowerPoint slides at the same time, as well as trying to bring my points across in a video like this. I have played Wigmund, which is an early access game, and once again the devs contacted me via email. I have played the game for a bit. It is supported by an epic mega grant developed by two brothers. Their father wrote the storyline. It's one of those small pieces of love. The game looks great, I feel, using Unreal Engine 4, and so far it's pretty fun, but also sort of clunky, especially the combat. The devs are adamant on their Steam page and in the email that they sent that this isn't a Souls-like game, which is true, and that combat is unique. Of that I am not too certain. There are several combat settings I can explore, like playing it with a controller, but because you can't rebind anything on the controller and the buttons are really poorly configured in my opinion, I can't play this with a controller at all. I'll dive a bit deeper into this game, but for now at least you know it is out there and that it isn't an undivided success yet. Patches are still being released, specifically tweaking the combat, so I am hopeful this might get resolved. I've also dabbled a little bit into Spellmaster the Saga that I covered last week. I got a review key and I played the first hour or so. It is okay, but so far nothing special. I haven't reached the building part yet where you build your own academy. I think that could be fun, and what's great about the game as well is that it doesn't have content that scales with you like Skyrim does. Instead, it is static in terms of enemy levels, which means that if you take a wrong turn, like I did at the start, you're getting immediately destroyed by bandits that are probably 20 levels higher than you. I enjoy that in games. At first glance the combat is quite outdated and it runs not great, only at around 30 FPS, as this isn't exactly next gen graphics. This simply shouldn't happen, but there you go. Steam has this at a 48% user rating, which I can understand, because this game isn't finished or polished. It looks like an early access game, but it is fully released, which is a problem, so beware of this. Patches and future updates might be able to do something about this, but I'm honestly not sure what the deal is with this one. I will keep you posted though. And that's it. If you have any questions or remarks, put them in the comments below. I hope you enjoyed the video. And if you did and you want more like this, consider liking the video or even subscribing. Thanks for watching and for making it to the end. Love you all. See you soon. Bye bye.